One day, a traveler came across something strange, something he had never seen before. While passing through a quiet village, he noticed a farmer working in a field. That in itself was not surprising. But what caught his eye, and stayed in his heart, was how the plow was being pulled. On one side, an ox, and on the other side, the farmer himself. Man and beast, sharing the burden. The traveler could not walk past without speaking. With a heart full of sadness and respect, he approached and asked, "My brother, why are you doing this to yourself?" The farmer looked up. His face was covered in sweat and dust, but his eyes were calm. And with quiet dignity, he answered in Afan Oromo, "Kunis ni darba. This too shall pass." The traveler stood silent, deeply moved by the man's strength and spirit. Then, with a nod of respect, he continued on his journey. Years later. Many years passed. The traveler returned to the same land, now much changed. He asked the villagers about the man he had once seen, who plowed the land with his own body. To his amazement, they replied, "That man, he is now the king of this country." The traveler was shocked and filled with joy. He asked to see the king, and his request was granted. When they met, he bowed in deep respect and said, "Your Majesty, years ago I saw you pulling a plow beside an ox. I never imagined I would one day stand before you as king. This is truly amazing." The king smiled humbly, looked into the traveler's eyes, and said with the same calm voice, "Kunis ni darba. This too shall pass." The words struck the traveler again, with even deeper meaning. Time had changed everything, except the king's spirit. The traveler, now older, returned once more, not to see the king, but to visit the grave of a man who had once amazed him by rising from soil to crown. But when he arrived, he heard sad news. The king has died. The traveler went to the burial site. It was a simple grave surrounded by silence and wind. As he stood before the stone, his eyes were drawn to the words carved into it. "Kunis ni darba. This too shall pass." He stood in stillness, repeating the phrase the king had spoken both in struggle and in power. Then he whispered, "Indeed, it was amazing." And he turned and walked away, carrying the words with him. Even more years passed. Time moved like a river. The traveler, now an old man, returned one final time, but the grave was gone. The entire burial ground had been replaced. A road now cut through the land where memory once lived. Shops and homes built where the king had rested. He stood in the middle of the road as life rushed around him. No statue, no stone, no word remained. But in the silence of his heart, one phrase still echoed, "Kunis ni darba. This too shall pass." A story of patience, change, and quiet greatness. What can we learn from this story? Life is a cycle of change. No struggle, no success, and no sorrow lasts forever. The farmer's quiet words, "Kunis ni darba," This too shall pass. Remind us that patience, humility, and inner strength carry more value than power or fame. History fades, graves disappear, and names may be forgotten, but the wisdom we live by and pass on can outlast everything. Let this story remind us, whatever you face today, it too shall pass. Enjoyed the story? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring educational stories.